This is a fan-generated show. If you would like to support us, please go to jamieglazov.com, and also don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. All your support is greatly appreciated.
Hello, this is the Paula Wood moment brought to you by the Glazov Gang. Time and time again we're told that Muslim extremists are the minority. Think about ISIS. Now there's no doubting at all that they are extreme. One thing stands out to me though about them, and that is that they're able to quite easily quote verses from Islamic scripture that justify their actions. Let's now consider the Muslims living in the West. Are they as extreme as ISIS? In my opinion, that all depends on what it is that you consider extreme. I'm sure we'd all agree that strapping a bomb to your body and blowing yourself up is extreme. But think about this. Would you consider the death penalty for homosexuality as being extreme? Do you think the death penalty for leaving a religion and thus becoming an apostate is extreme? Do you think that lawfully putting someone to death simply because they criticise your religion extreme? Personally, I find all those examples extreme and certainly not compatible with present-day Western culture and standards. I think you'd be surprised and worried though if I told you just how many Muslims living in the UK agree with those examples that I've just given you. And why? Well, because they're all sanctioned punishments under Sharia law. Sharia law, of course, being the law followed by many Muslims over and above any man-made law. Those are all punishments carried out today in countries where Sharia law is observed. But that's in countries like Saudi Arabia or Pakistan, you might say. That's absolutely correct. However, there are many Muslims currently living in the UK that agree with these forms of punishment and think that they're perfectly justifiable. In a survey carried out last year on behalf of Channel 4 in the UK, some very worrying results became apparent. The number of Muslims currently living in the UK stands at around 3 million. As part of this survey, it was revealed that 18% of British Muslims actually agree that homosexuality should be illegal. 47% of those surveyed agreed that it wasn't acceptable for somebody who's gay to become a teacher. And most worrying, 4% of those surveyed agreed and had sympathy with those who carried out suicide bombings. 4% is obviously still a very tiny figure. However, it equates to over 120,000 people. That is still a substantial number. I imagine that those surveyed wouldn't be the kind of people that would immediately spring to mind when you think of a radicalised or extremist Muslim. Now, those surveyed will have been what most people consider to be normal, moderate Muslims. Those people that we come across every day at work or in the shops or on the street. Of course, the statistics prove that the people who think this way are in the minority, but it still equates to a very, very large number of people living in a country where most other people would consider those views to be absolutely ludicrous. Getting down to the nitty-gritty, let's not forget that Muhammad himself would be considered an extremist. This is clear to see by anybody by simply reading the Quran and the Hadith. Muhammad's life from 622 AD onwards was pretty much a timeline of death, murder, terror and destruction. And what we have to bear in mind is that all that was carried out by a man that Muslims believe is the most perfect man to ever have lived, and a person who they strive to emulate every single day. So again, I ask you, what do you consider extreme? And how many Muslims living in the West would consider what we think is extreme to be perfectly normal, rational and justifiable? For me personally, this is something that I'm deeply, deeply concerned about. There are people living in the West among us now who think that what we consider extreme as perfectly normal. Is that not something we have a right to be worried about? Is it not something that we should be able to talk about openly without being called names such as bigot or Islamophobe or racist or intolerant? No, I believe that the only way to tackle these issues is by open, honest debate. And I sincerely hope that there will come a day, sooner rather than later, where we're allowed to speak as we find. Thank you for watching. Please support the Glazov Gang by visiting jamieglazov.com, and don't forget to subscribe to the Glazov Gang YouTube channel.